Welcome back, everyone, to another Elite Speak episode, and we are here reviewing AEW Dynamite Beach Break edition for February 3rd, 2021. And this was a pretty action-packed episode. It featured a few good TV matches. And guess what was among them? It was a women's match. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa absolutely delivered. The ladies can hang their heads high on this match. This was an all-out fight, and this was Britt Baker's best match to date in AEW. We kicked off the night with a battle royale for the tag teams, and most of the main teams got an entrance, such as the Acclaimed, the Inner Circle, the Young Bucks, of course. The Young Bucks kick it off furiously. The Inner Circle pretty much eliminates the Dark Order in this match. The final four were Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Darius of Top Flight, Darius Martin, and Max Caster of the Acclaimed. Jericho then, in the end, hits the Judas effect on Darius as he was on the apron for the win. He wins it for his team with MJF. So those two will go on to face the Young Bucks at Revolution for the Tag Team Championships. I don't see Jericho and MJF winning that match, because I don't think the Bucks would drop them so soon. They haven't really done too much with the tag titles to begin with, but they got to have a much lengthier run. They're not booked. They haven't been booked like Hangman and Omega were when they held the titles. So it's going to be tough to top that, but they can do it. Shall give them time. Next up, Tony Schiavone interviews Darby Allin and Sting. During this segment, it was announced that Darby will defend his TNT Championship against Joey Janela next week on Dynamite. Team Taz then interrupts, saying that they're outside the building. They were banned. They couldn't get in. So they had a cameraman and a mic delivered to them, and they cut their little promo here. Ricky Starr says, good luck, because they're going to need it. Sting and Darby are going to need that luck. Some tells me there will be shenanigans during this Janela match next week. Sting will be out there to make sure that the match stays a 1-versus-1. So we'll see how that goes. Sting may get a bit more physical there as he enforces the match. Then we had possibly the match of the night. Well, yeah, this was possibly my match of the night, with the exception of the main event. That is the second best match of the night. But we had the match of the night here. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. This feud has been built over the past several weeks, and it had a lot of people anticipating this match, and I was hoping they would deliver. And guess what? They did. I believe they shut the naysayers up, especially Britt Baker, because she has been criticized for her in-ring ability, and I believe she stepped it up in this match. She's been stepping it up since day one. Since she turned heel, she's been getting a lot better in ring, and hats off to her, because that's all she really needed. She just needed to be more believable in ring, and everything else is good. So Britt Baker is well on her way of being the actual face of the division, as she claims she is, which I believe she is. But the match was great. The finish came when the Rebel pulled off the rope pad behind the referee's back, and Britt took advantage of this, and she dropped toe hold Rosa into the buckle, knocking her out, which allowed Britt to put on the lockjaw for the win. We had shenanigans to finish the match, but that just tells me that this shouldn't be the last match these two have. So I think they'll go against one another down the line. Perhaps at Revolution, we'll see. But this was a good match, great match for the women. And it actually went on early in the night. They didn't get the 9:30 slot. Good stuff. Next up, we had Matt Hardy and Adam Page versus Chaos Project. Page gets the hot tag later in the match as he makes short work of both Luther and Serpentico. He hits a plancha and a spine buster on both. Page later goes for the buckshot lariat, but Luther stops it from happening. But not long after, Page eventually hits it on Serpentico. Matt Hardy tags himself in and he goes for the cover and gets the 3 count for both. Matt Hardy and Adam Page wins the match. This is showing this heel side, this big money Matt Hill character that Matt Hardy's going with is doing pretty good. He is pretty much egotistical. He is taking he's taking the credit for just about everything. He even took the credit for this win. He barely did anything. Page did most of the work, but he covered after his finish. So shenanigans, but we'll see what happens. Next, we get some women's tournament news dropped on us. We got all 16 entrants revealed, and among them were Riho, as we knew, Serena Deeb, as we knew. Britt Baker is in it. Who else is in there? Thunder Rosa, she's in there. And of the Japanese side, the name most people are looking forward to is Maki Ito. She seems to be a well-liked individual, a fan favorite among the AEW faithful. They can't wait to see her. And I can't wait to see what she has to offer as well. I've never really seen her matches. So I plan on looking up some not long after this goes live. So I'm going to prepare on all of the entrants, all on the Japanese side. I'm going to watch some of their matches. Let's see what they bring to the table. I hear some of them are pretty good, so we'll see. But this just hypes up the women's eliminator tournament for the Women's World Championship. This just hypes me up even more. I was excited to begin with. Now I'm even more excited. Next, we head backstage with MJF and Jericho. It was time to celebrate their win. Jericho and MJF brings a cooler back to the dressing room or the locker room to celebrate with the rest of the Inner Circle, but they didn't seem to be having it. Sammy Guevara let them have it. He spoke his mind. And then eventually Sammy leaves the break room or the locker room with Jericho. And then MJF has Wardlow get rid of the camera guy. And then he has a talk with the rest of the Inner Circle behind closed doors. So I think MJF is scheming right now. He's going to eventually take over the Inner Circle. And Sammy Guevara will probably, he's most likely going to be ousted from the group by MJF. Jericho could be gone as well. We'll see. I'm not too sure on him. We'll know in the coming weeks, probably by Revolution. Then we lead up to the Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford wedding. Tony Schiavone interviews Miro, Kip Sabian, with Charles Taylor, aka Chuck Taylor, Chucky T. Vicky Guerrero then steps into frame and tells them that it is time. It's time for the wedding. And then we have it. Mitchell does the honors in this wedding. The evil looking guy. The start of the wedding really went off without a hitch. No shenanigans. It was just a straightforward wedding. Too many people surprised, but I, like many, were wondering, okay, when are we going to get the shenanigans? We know they're going to come up. We know it's going to happen. And as I said, it went off without a hitch early on, but Miro gets paranoid towards the end. He then spotted a gift, a large gift, and he proceeded to beat it up, assuming someone was in there, but nope, it was empty. And after he did this, he was handcuffed to the ring post by someone. I'm not sure who did that. I think it might have been Charles Taylor. And eventually, Orange Cassidy pops out of the cake after Penelope ate a face full of it. And after this, Miro held Orange Cassidy for Sabian to hit a super kick on him. But Orange Cassidy got out the way and super kicks Miro instead, and Miro got visibly angry at Kip. Kip was pleading with Miro, but he couldn't do anything because he was handcuffed. So eventually Orange Cassidy hits the beach break at Beach Break on Kip Sabian, which ends the segment. And I thought it was pretty entertaining at the beginning. And then halfway through, the typical stuff came through. But overall, I didn't think it was horrible. It was mediocre. It could have been, that's about as good as you're going to get for a wrestling wedding. Come on now. Well, at least the wedding's over and we can move on. We'll see what they do next. Charles Taylor is no longer the butler as a result. Next up, we had Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer in a lumberjack match. This is the second ever lumberjack match in AEW. This was chaotic. The match starts off hot as Archer goes straight for Kingston. The match then spills outside with the other lumberjacks, of course. Eventually, Archer hits the blackout for the win. Tons of interference in this match. Also, Bear Country made their debut to help even the odds for Lance Archer. So perhaps, and they put the Butcher and the Blade in particular through the table. So we could get a future match of Bear Country versus the Butcher and the Blade in the future. So they may get thrown into this feud by proxy of debuting in this way. So that should be interesting. Bear Country as faces. We'll see how long that sticks. I think they could make for a nice heel team too, but we probably have a lot of heel tag teams. So we'll see. Following this, we had an FTR segment. They said they have been banned for a week. FTR, they were banned because of what they did to the Jurassic Express at the end of the Jungle Boy Dax Harwood match last week. They cut off Luchasaurus's horns and beat down the Jurassic Express. That's sacrilege. You can't do that. That's disrespect. It's almost like pulling the luchador's mask off. You don't do it. Everyone is scared of FTR, Tully says. FTR then have the camera then pans out to show Marco Stunt chained up and duct taped. And this looks sinister. What were they gonna do to Marco? Stay tuned till next week. Who knows? I don't think this was addressed after this segment, so we'll see what they do. And then we had the main event, which featured Kenny Omega, the World Heavyweight Champion, versus the Good Brothers, the Impact World Tag Team Champions, versus Jon Moxley, the former AEW World Champion, Pac, and Rey Fenix. This match was hard-hitting, action all over the place. I could not keep up. Barely took any notes because the match was that good. But Pac and Carl Anderson kicked off the match, and it was great, as I said. Eventually, the Magic Killer ends it. They pin Rey Fenix as he fell to the Magic Killer. And Kenta later attacks Mach post-match. New Japan's Kenta actually showed up on Dynamite, finally. After so many weeks of taunting, so many weeks of him saying, how do you get to Jacksonville? What's the quickest way to Jacksonville on Twitter? Well, he actually found the way this week. And as a result, we're going to have a match with these two. Next week on Dynamite, it's going to be Kenny Omega and Kenta versus Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. Because Lance Archer did interrupt. He helped save even the odds for Mox, Pac, and Phoenix. Plus, all these guys had something to do with New Japan. So that they all have history. Let's put it that way. Eventually, we will get that next week, and it should be good. Just like this 6-man tag that we had tonight. But there you have it. On the whole, I thought this episode was good. It was a good episode. Solid episode of Dynamite. Solid, very solid. Feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you like what you heard. We will be doing this again next week. And I hope to have you listening then as well. Thanks for watching and listening, and I will catch you next time with another AEW Dynamite review. Catch you then.